From guns to immigration to who can serve our country, the U.S. Supreme Court today touched on some of the most politically charged issues in the nation. As always, Marcia Coyle, Chief Washington Correspondent for the National Law Journal, is here to help explain what happened. Hello, Marcia. So a lot
Judy.
going on. We haven't seen
Yes.
you for a while, but today the court did move on several fronts. Let's talk first about what they've done with respect to the Pentagon's policy on transgender people. What did they do?
All right. First of all, the Trump administration had asked the Supreme Court to do two things. First, it wanted the court to lift the injunctions that were blocking the transgender policy. And second, it wanted the Supreme Court to hear the merits of whether the policy was constitutional before the lower federal appellate courts would consider that question. So the court did agree to lift the injunctions against the policy, meaning the policy is in effect. That was a 5-4 decision. Dissenting were Justices Ginsburg, Breyer, Kagan, and Sotomayor. But the court refused to leapfrog over the lower federal appellate courts and said that the policy is going to remain in effect until the Supreme Court gets a straightforward petition for review from whoever loses in the lower federal appellate courts.
So you were telling us you're somewhat surprised that the judges chose to do this.
I'm not surprised that they refused to leapfrog over the lower federal appellate courts. That is always disfavored. The court wants the reasoning, the benefit of the reasoning of lower federal appellate courts. To allow the policy to go into effect while the process goes on was a little surprising. Certainly there are transgender service members who will be affected by this.
Well, let's talk about some of the other rulings today, or non-rulings on guns. The justices have now chosen to take up a significant case. Tell us about that.
All right. The New York State Rifle and Pistol Association is challenging New York City's premises license. That's a license that restricts the transport of a gun to shooting ranges within the city's boundaries. If you want to go outside of the city, you'll have to get a carry license. The association claims it violates the Second Amendment, the right to travel, and the Commerce Clause. And Judy, it's potentially significant because the court could rule on what is the constitutional test for gun regulations, as well as can there be public carry of guns, either open or concealed?
And you were telling us that's significant because you're going to see justices who've never ruled on a gun case like this.
That's right.
Will have to weigh in.
You have Justices Kagan, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh who would be facing their first major gun case.
And finally, I want to ask you, Marcia, about the court taking no action on what the Trump administration had asked them to do, and that has to do with the DACA recipients. These are young people who came to the United States with their parents without documentation. The administration wanted them to act on this. They said they will not do it right now.
Well, the court really didn't say anything. It just has left untouched the government's petition to hear an appeal of a ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, which found that the way in which the Trump administration was trying to end this program violated federal law. So no one really knows what the court thinking is on this. Will they consider it next term? Will there be a special order at some point? We don't know, but right now it looks as though it may be too late for the court to hear the case this term. This is usually the cutoff point for new cases.
And just very quickly, Marcia, you were saying that it's unusual to see the court asked to, in so many words, fast track cases like the ones they've been asked to by the administration.
That's right. This administration has done quite a few in the last few months, and the court hasn't been all that receptive. The latest one was just late this afternoon involving the citizenship question on the U.S. Census. The Trump administration notified the court that it was going to seek review of a trial judge's order finding that that question violated multiple federal laws, and wanted the court to hear it before the appellate court hears it.
Marcia Coyle, thank you. A busy day at the court.
Very. Thank you, Judy.